Hiya, Martin here once again. Thank you for joining me. In this episode it kind of follows on from the pen one I did the other day. With some yew that has come from Alton Convent School. That's just a few miles away. It's a piece for a family that are moving away, and it's a farewell present. And so this goblet has got 4 invisible captive rings. They're invisible because, well, you'll see in the video, but the piece is actually quite badly cracked. There's one of the rings, or a bit of one of them, and where the wood's been lying on the ground, it's kind of spalted a bit. So all 4 of the captive rings just exploded off, which is a bit of a shame. But nevertheless, there is a yew goblet. So in the video you'll find out how things don't always go according to plan in the workshop. I need to give a shout out to Mike Walt for the little hint of using a ball to support the end of the goblet on the lathe. Brilliant. So thank you very much indeed for watching. And enjoy the video of a yew goblet with 4 invisible captive rings. From Alton Convent School, which is just a few miles away, and this week I need to turn a goblet with some captive rings on. Now it's quite a big piece, so if I do happen to mess it up, I can try and make another one. So first things first, I want to cut it down into handleable lengths, so I think I'll probably do each one about 9 inches long, 10 inches long, something like that. So I've got one here, one here. So I'll do that off camera, and then when I get it back, we'll put it between centres, turn a tenon, and start making a goblet. Now I've got 2 different size goblets here, or they may well be goblets. This one will be. The wood came from it was picked up off the ground at Alton Convent, and I did worry that it would be a little bit wet, but actually it's about 8.5% in the centre of the wood, which is great, and just the kind of moisture content I like to turn. So I'm going to get it in between centres so I can turn it round and start making the goblet. So using the centre finder, I'm just going to mark off roughly where the centre of each end is. In between centres now, I'm going to start turning it fairly slowly. The wood feels pretty hard, which is always good. I like turning hard wood, which is a bit strange. I'm going to use the roughing gouge to turn it round, and then use the diamond tip parting tool to form a tenon on one end, probably this end, so then it can go into the chuck and I can start making the bowl of the goblet. Right, beautiful piece of wood, absolutely beautiful piece of wood. Having a look at it, there are a few splits running through it which I'm going to have to be really careful of, and I think they'll need to be just reinforced a bit with some CA glue. I need to turn a tenon on the right hand end so I can turn the whole piece over and put it into the chuck. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to turn a tenon at this end, turn it over and get it in the chuck. That's the end trued up. Now there's no mathematics to this at all. No science, no nothing. It's purely what I think is going to look nice is how I'm going to turn it. So I need a base. So I need to part it off about here somewhere, down here on the left hand side, which is about 25 millimeters in from the chuck. So I want to part it off roughly there. Then the stem needs to come in and then come out to the bowl of the goblet, which I'm going to put probably about a third of the way down. So there is a bit of maths involved. Haha. 1, 2, 3, about there, about here. So the bowl's going to be formed about there, maybe a bit bigger. So the bowl's going to be about there. Let's just lose that other mark. So the bowl's going to be here. The stem is going to come up from here. So the base is going to be, allow for a bit of parting off. The base is going to be about 15mm from where I parted off. Then it's going to taper in and taper up. 4 captive rings, which I'll work out in a minute. And yes, I think that's the way it's going to be. Ha! We'll see. We'll see. Right, I'm going to take off a little bit in the centre, just a little bit, because I want to keep as much wood on the piece for as long as possible, because eventually I'm going to have to take the tailstock away, and I'm going to need to support it with something. Right, so I need to form the bowl of the goblet and start forming a bit of the stem, and for that I'm going to use a spindle gouge. There's a very vague shape for the bowl. That's going to dive into the stem a little bit more at this point. But now I need to start hollowing out the actual bowl bit, for which I'm going to use a Jacob's chuck and a 35mm Forstner bit again. For anybody who's watched my videos before knows that I'm not the greatest fan of drilling. Well, I don't mind drilling on the lathe, but Forstner bits are heavy going. So I need the extractor fan on. So excuse this poking into your view. I've slowed the lathe down, and now I'm just going to pass the Forstner bit, which is 35mm, into the piece, carefully. that's given me some help with hollowing out. So I need to use a bowl gouge now carefully to thin out the wall. Not too thin, of course, because I might want to take a bit more off the outside. Okay, that's the bowl done. It's got lots of splits in it. So the tool was jumping around all over the place. So I'm going to have to finish that with sandpaper. Starting with an 80 grit and going down from there just to finish the shape. And after I've done an 80 grit, I'll soak some CA glue in there, just to give some support to the splits. Oh, that was a labour of love. I actually had to go back to 40 grit in the end, because there was there's a bit of chip out going on where I started hollowing it out and the piece started to wobble a bit. So I need to address the cracks in the wood here, and I've just seen it's gone on the outside as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a clean with some methylated spirits to get the dust out of the cracks a little bit, and then let it dry off. And then just go round and fill the cracks with, or fill the splitting with CA glue. Let that go off, and then I should be good enough, or it should be strong enough to finish turning, or finish sanding at least. So I've got Tightbond Instant Bond wood adhesive, which is very sticky, or very good sticky stuff, and I'm just going to rub it all in the bowl and into the cracks, just to strengthen them. Yeah, this one runs all the way down. It's going to be tricky to finish this. Okay, the glue's gone off. And now I can finish sanding the inside of the bowl. And there's the finish down to 600 grit. I'm just having a little feel around where it's split. Apart from where the splits are quite substantial, I can't actually feel them, so the glue is right there at the surface but not over the top. Now, next bit Danish oil. I always use Danish oil. I love the stuff, and this will help to bring out the. It'll take a bit of the dust out of the grain, but also darken it down and really bring the figure out. Next up is cellulose sealer and cellulose thinners. And now it's dry, I can just take it back a little bit with some 0000 wire wool. Wipe the dust out. Now I can add the lathe polish. Again, rubbing it into the grain. Making sure I get right to the bottom of the bowl. Quite a fast speed for buffing. Like so, that's come up beautifully. Very happy with that. I mentioned that as I turn the rest of the piece, I need to give some support to this end because there's a big hole in it, and the centre section here, the stem, is going to get a lot thinner. So using, again, the wonderful Mike Walt's method of using a ball in the end of the piece like so, I can give it some support all round just by bringing up the tailstock a little bit like so. So right, I'm going to start shaping the bowl now, and start shaping the bowl and bringing the stem down a little bit, and I'll lose a piece of, and I'll lose more of this as well. So I'll turn the stem down a bit to the diameter that I want the captive rings to be, and then finish the outside of the goblet bowl, and then do the captive rings. Yes, that's what I'll do. Okay, right, now we've got further into the piece, it's split quite a lot, which is a tad annoying, but I'm going to carry on going with it and mark off where each of the rings are going to be. Now I've got a 3/8 captive ring tool, and I'm going to mark the width of each ring and mark it round. Like so. So there's 1, 4. Right, so I've got 4 rings. 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there. Now using the diamond tip passing tool, I need to go down a bit of the way so I can get the captive ring tool underneath the ring to create the ring. So let's have a go at that, shall we? I've never done this before, remember? So, fingers crossed. That was successful. Now I need to round over each of the rings. I'm going to use the spindle gouge. Look at that. Where the wood's split a lot, this ring's actually disintegrated. So I'm going to be left with 3 rings, or possibly 2, maybe 1, maybe none at all. But yeah, this wood is very, very poor actually. Now we're getting into the centre of it. I will continue and see what happens. The ring's down to 600 grit sandpaper. I'm very worried about this one, the one over here on the right, because it's cracking. In fact, they're all cracking, so I'm not holding out much hope for these at all. But I can just keep trying and see how I get on with it. So let's try and turn the rings off and see how it looks. Well, look at that. Less than a millimetre to go and it came off. Yeah, right across the cracks there. Look. That's a little bit gutting. So let's try this one, and I'm expecting exactly the same thing to happen. All 3. That's annoying. I'll turn the stem then. I'm a bit nervous now of doing any more with tools, because the splits are looking a bit scary, shall we say. So I'm going to get to it with sandpaper now and just smooth everything down and over and finish the goblet as it is. So I will do that and then I will come back to you again. So as I did before, inside the bowl of the goblet, I'm gonna just get most of the dust off the splits. It's in a terrible state, and then fill it up with glue, just to give it some support. Let it all go off and set and stuff, and then finish sanding. And when the lathe polish is dry, give it a buff. last job to do, and that's turn it off, which I've got to be very, very, very careful of. So tool rest back on. And there she is, the finished goblet with 4 invisible captive rings. I am pleased with it. It was a trial and got me thinking. Yeah, no, it's good. Right, well, thank you very much indeed for watching again this week. I hope you enjoyed the project and how not everything goes entirely according to plan in the workshop. Next week, I'm not sure what's going to be happening next week. Oh, yes, I do know what's going to happen next week. I'm making, or next time, I'm making a bowl dish for Chris Fisher, the blind woodturner, following on from his video of textures, but you'll find out all about that in the video. So thanks very much indeed for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you all again soon. Bye for now.